And I was known as the dumb guy in Florida that'll pay anything for a nice pulp, so we'll sell it to him.
This is an absolute ghost of a book.
Is it true that your collection may be the best in the world? And if so, how the heck did you get there?
My grade condition is the best, but I don't collect westerns and love pulps, so I don't have a lot of that stuff. So I'm not complete. There are people that have like all the other pulps, like westerns and love and things like that. So the best is very subjective. I have high grade material of things that I love. And I spent, 50 years doing it and searching out high grade material. And really, the seminal event that let me get that is a predecessor of mine. I have to give him all the credit, who was born 30 years before me in the 1920s. Is he was a high grade collector. And his name was Frank Robinson, and he was the author of a book that became the Towering Inferno. And he bought every science fiction pulp known to mankind, and he was a perfectionist. They had to look beautiful and gorgeous. I was always a cover guy. The cover had to be glossy and gorgeous. But then he said, well, the paper quality, I won't buy anything that's not, really have great paper quality because that's the rarest because they were made on newsprint and they were made to be go brown and brittle. If you leave a newspaper out in the sun for, half a couple hours, it's going to be yellow. So that's how that paper was. So you have to be, you had to be careful. And he taught me that what I was collecting was mystery and spices, and I would have 10 to 15 copies of each one because I'd always want an upgrade over the years. I had a little bit of, as a physician, I had some disposable income, and I was known as the dumb guy in Florida that'll pay anything for a nice pulp, so we'll sell it to him. And I'd buy it and then I'd upgrade, and I wound up having so many dupes. I had my own store, and then now I have people working for me, and I've got a bookstore. It's been a labor of love. That's where my wife comes in, and she knows art and fashion. She has a beautiful eye for colors. I would compare two beautiful books, and I'd say which one is nicer. And she was really very instrumental in me picking out the perfect book. And none of them perfect. I mean, that's a bad. There's no such thing as a mint 9.8, or I guess I have a few, but they're so rare. Out of 15,000, and I have a couple 9.8s. But the books that had the best color, looked the nicest, the eye appeal, the page quality, she was very, very instrumental.
Sasha, you might be in a good position to comment on the quality of Richard's collection.
I mean, Richard's collection is incredible. I think, like Richard said, saying what is the single best is kind of an impossible thing to do, but certainly by the metrics of, a collection of high grade books, it's just unlike any other. I mean, and it's high grade runs of many of the most desirable titles, those spices and weird tales and things that people are really obsessed with. And Richard gives all of his credit to Frank Robinson, rightly so. In some cases, I would commend Richard for all of the spices that he did not get from Frank Robinson. Impossibly tough books. I mean, the amount of books of Richard's that the best copy Heritage had ever seen before was a good or VG or even a fair. And then Richard has sevens, eights, nines. I mean, I've made the comparison often to something like the Mile High collection. There's just nothing else like it.
Can you talk about your top two or three most sentimental books and why they're sentimental to you?
In terms of the most sentimental books, I was thinking about that mystery adventure with the two domino ladies, the double domino lady. That book was so darn hard to find. And secondly, to find it in high grade like this, what happened with those is they were rare they're rare, and they were made on the worst paper. They went brittle all the time. And they weren't they just didn't have the production that the other things like the Shadow, they produced, the Shadow was mainstream. They produced hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of those magazines. These rare, like one-off runs are massively rare. And it took me 30 years to find that in high grade. I literally, for a month, was beaming. about it. I'm beaming about it now, and then, that would be the only one that I shouldn't have let go, but my wife would kill me. There's others, and it's like asking, what's your favorite kid? I'm letting everything go.
So I'll kind of turn that question to you to say when those books first came and you started looking at them, was there a book or two in particular that just blew your mind, hit that pleasure center like only a rare, hard to find pulp might?
Oh, for sure. There are all kinds of great books from this collection, and I'm getting books back from CGC every day now still, and it's always exciting. But actually, within the catalog, there's a picture of me holding Richard's copies of Weird Tales #1 and 2, and I have both copies up in my hands, raw, and they're in incredible shape, and it's just a miracle. I mean, Weird Tales #2, that is a book that the highest graded copy Heritage has sold unrestored to date was a fair. Most of the copies we've seen have been heavy restoration and putting them in the good range. But Richard's copy of Weird Tales #2, it got a blue label, no notes, 8.0. The Weird Tales one, that is considered typically one of the big three of pulps, with the Tarzan that everybody knows, and the first Shadow, which was the first single character pulp. But the Weird Tales #1, that is the key book for, fantasy and horror pulp collectors. I think the Weird Tales #2 is the most impressive book in the auction to me personally. But if I could own any one pulp personally, it would be the Weird Tales #1. Just because that stands for the history of everything that I really love about pulps, everything that's weird and spooky, and it's just a fantastic book.
So we'll look at some of these top ones here. Richard, tell me about this book.
It's actually the first pulp image I ever saw. It is the most iconic image in pulp history. It's by a famous artist, Margaret Brundage.
The Batwoman is the single most popular pulp these days. Fantastic 11 out of 10 cover, but then the insides hit every note you could want in Weird Tales. There was no question what was going to be the cover image for the auction.
I'm going to stick with you, Sasha, because when I saw you down in Dallas, next book is the one that you drooled at. You said, this book is rumored to exist, but you had never seen a copy. I think those were the words that you said. And it's this book. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
That is the Snappy Mystery Stories Ashcan from 1935. It is a one of a kind book. It is very likely the only copy in existence. Prior to launching their line of spicy pulps, Culture Publications was doing ash cans for various spicy titles, but also for snappy titles. And with Snappy Mystery, it seems like they really considered bringing that title to market because they had an ash can in 1934 and an ash can in 1935. And you can find replica reprints of the 1934 ash can online. But this is the 1935 ash can, which prior to us posting this book online, I couldn't find an image of this cover anywhere. This is an absolute ghost of a book.
I knew this was a one of a kind. I paid a phenomenal price, but I was a spicy collector. This to me is the pinnacle of that because this is the one that you're just not going to get.
Okay, this one, the grade's not too shabby.
I'm pretty confident in saying you'll never see a 9.6 because it has the overhang, and I just love the image. It's probably my favorite spicy. It's what the spices were all about: sexy girls and crazy stuff happening.
So in addition to, being an incredible 9.6 copy, this is the first Conan cover ever, and it was done by Margaret Brundage, who did all the great Weird Tales covers. This is also the first image of Conan in color anywhere.
Norman Saunders was the iconic pulp artist. He did one spicy cover, and it was this cover. This was the hardest book for me to find. I gave away the farm for it. It's my favorite cover. It's my favorite book. The needle, I mean, it's so wild.
I mean, a mid-grade copy of this book can easily go for more than $10,000. A 9.2 is unpredictable, and this thing is gorgeous. I mean, I've looked at the grader's notes for it, and it's the kind of notes that on any other pulp, we'd never even point them out.
The Dime Detective, that is it's a Strasser pedigree. The reason it's so important is it has a Raymond Chandler story in it, which is basically he's considered literature now. Him, Hammett, and Chandler are considered literature. They're not even detective fiction anymore. And The Lady in the Lake, obviously, they made many movies out of it. Or Saucy Romantic Adventures. That's the Domino Lady again, key cover. It's like a Spices, but they're rarer than the Spices.
I really love on the left that Terror Tales 14. The Terror Tales is one of the big titles of the Weird Menace or Shudder pulp genre. Painters and writers trying to outdo each other in terms of how crazy and exploitative they could be, and just going all out with the wackiest, weirdest ideas. This cover is hilarious. You have a figure who's had a gorilla head transplanted on them in a background, and you have a woman who is terrified that the same is about to happen to her. It is both hilarious and terrifying and beautiful. And it kind of sums up what I really love in pulp horror, as close to a perfect copy as you can get.
It's a little funny for me because I am an anesthesiologist and they got one sitting there.
I mean, that man ape in the back is horrifying. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Uh, Look at the Secret Agent X #5. That is the classic Pulps. Firstly, it's a Strasser pedigree, which will have his little numbers on there on the S. And but you look at the cover. I mean, who comes up with it? It's a gorilla with a test tube and skulls coming out of it. I mean, how do you come up with this idea?
Oh, yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun. Thanks so much. And Richard, thank you for sharing your amazing collection.
I wanted to share a little. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to hold it on and be buried with it. I'm really hoping. My hope is 10 years from now. Yeah, I got this book and it's a Richard Meli collection. Oh, you're Richard Meli. It's an eagle. That would make that. That's what this is all about. The community is, to sit there just by yourself with them is not me. I want to be in the community and show them and to give someone the pleasure that I got from it.